Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na 20th May 2022. My name na Capo Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King, one our own countryman. Fellow citizens of Ambazonia, today we go tackle in depth the audio message where it is circulate for social media and being broadcasted on FM radio stations across La Republique, the propagandist outlet, the CRTV. The audio message from Professor Victor Julius Ngoh. We will examine them in details. If we don't know who be Professor Victor Julius Ngoh, a historian, we done write plenty book. One a bit titled The Southern Cameroon, 1922 to 1961, the constitutional history of the British Southern Cameroon. He done write extensively on the subject of Ambazonia. The only thing we go lack if you looking for a numerous book, them we done write them, not a biography. You could realize and say a biography, not talk place where he be born. His name sounds like an Ambazonian or English name. Indeed, Professor Victor Julius Ngoh, he not be different from Jongu Foncha. He is a Francophone Bulu who have disguised himself and who often sound and look and present himself like an Ambazonian. A lecturer who teach for University of Boya, Yaoundé, and for many other universities. They use Nai for manipulate our people and distort our history. The main objective be that. Recently, he done be appointed by the president of La Republique du Cameroon, Barthélemy Paul Biya Bivodro, for rewrite the history of the so-called Cameroons. Make we go straight inside the set audio, and we go dissect them, and we go break them one by one for our people.
It is the failure to respect what was agreed in Foumban between Ahijo and Foncha.
And what was that?
So, just like in our previous special edition, we done inform our public, say the Foumban conference, as Professor Victor Julius Itok, according to this his statement, he talks say the war and the problem where we face between Ambazonia and La Republique, na the failure to implement the agreement with Foncha and Endel and Amadou Ahijo be getting for the Foumban conference. In our previous podcast, we not explain for our people, say this one na complete misrepresentation. The root causes of this war, enough be say na the failure for implement the agreement where they be reached for Foumban conference, because there was no agreement in Foumban conference in the first place. A lot of weakness they don't testify. Kadinatumi, he don't testify. There is no record or no submission, according to Chief Justice Ayapo and all the historian them, where they don't publish books them, will be available for Amazon. There is nowhere in any history, there is no quotation by any author or any authority that there was any agreement arrived at the Foumban conference. If there was such an agreement, what is the content of that agreement? For the purpose for no waste time, we could go directly for the content of the issue. The Foumban conference itself was a fraud. The fraud for the Foumban conference, where Professor Victor Julius Ngoh, he want put them for history book them, and the one for use them for brainwash the next generation of Ambazonians them. Now say the Foumban conference was a conference to make decision about the status of the Southern Cameroon and La Republique du Cameroon. No, the Foumban conference was an implementation conference to draw the framework in which the agreement that was already made and submitted, called the plebiscite part, was to be implemented. The United Nations had received submission of the document on the form of the state that clearly states that the state of the Southern Cameroons and the state of La République du Cameroon will remain self-governing. The plebiscite part had clearly defined the rule of the government of the Southern Cameroon and the rule of the government of La République du Cameroon and the rule of the central government. The Foumban conference was supposed to be an implementation conference, not a conference on agreement on the form or the shape of the state. The form of the state was already agreed upon before the plebiscite. The Foumban conference was supposed to be a conference for implementation of the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1608 that clearly states that a new country of a confederation will be formed of two equal partners between the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon. Professor Victor Julius Ngoh, who have been funded by the Cameroon government to do extended research in public records in the offices in London, the United Nations, in Yaoundé and Buea, cannot say he has not seen the record, and I will read the records. In the documents of the resolution 1608, it is clearly written, and I will read and quote. Paragraph 5, I read, inviting the administrating authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons, and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussion with a view to finalize before the 1st of October 1961 the arrangement by which the agreed and declared policies of the parties concerned will be implemented. End of quote. So, Naran hear very well, which the conference is supposed to be to make arrangement by which they agreed, that means they didn't already agree, and declared policies, that means they didn't already declare the content of the agreement where the both parties go implement them. So the Foumban conference was not for any agreement on the form of the state or the content of the state. It was only for implementation of the resolution 1608. That is the problem and the cause of the war. That is the root cause. The United Nations resolution was voted against by the Cameroon state. They had no intention to implement it. It was never considered in the Foumban conference. It was a fraud. The Cameroon government and its agents will want you to believe that the problem we have is a failure to implement an agreement. There was no agreement. The Foumban conference was not to make any agreement. It was to implement a resolution that was ignored. Any union, therefore, that existed between both countries was an annexation. The Cameroon presence in Ambazonia was never with the consent of our people, was never in line with the terms of our agreement with them. Cameroon presence in Ambazonia, the Foumban conference, if that was the basis of the so-called union, is against the African Charter that forbids territorial extension or union without a union treaty. I will indeed go to the United Nations archives that are available online to read the resolutions and the terms of union that was agreed before the Foumban conference, before the plebiscite. For full disclosure, I need to inform Ambazonian people and nobody see the copy for the plebiscite part, but testimony for those patrons them for Southern Cameroon where they be involved. They don't personally call me for inform me, and many testimony don't confirm saying are true. Indeed, if you look for the United Nations available documents, them you will see indication and quotes from that same document. We need Ambazonians them for do the hard work for United States and for United Kingdom, for do their own research, no for lie on Cameroonians like Victor Julius Ngoh, for do research and write their history for them. I go read for now the available document will clearly show, say, the agreement reach, the policy reach before the plebiscite is exactly what I am telling you. The first one I quote, this one being for the document for the 994 plenary session for the United Nations General Assembly for the 21st of April 1961. For the paragraph 186, Mr. Ortiz de Rosas, when at the Argentina, their own representative for the United Nations, he talked as follows. He said the General Assembly has just cast paragraph 5 of the operative part of the draft resolution A/4737, now read as follows. Invites the administering authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussion with the view to finalize before 1st of October 1961 the arrangements by which the agreed and declared policies of the concerned parties will be implemented. The next statement he talked, I wonder just what these agreed and declared policies of the concerned parties are, because the General Assembly have no knowledge of them. This one, it show we one thing. The Secretariat of the United Nations, it no be submit for the General Assembly member the way they be the debate, the plebiscite part. They be keep them away from them. Now part of the mafia and the conspiracy will be there for manipulate our history. But make we go further and for see the part them where they read the content or way to way at least La République du Cameroon then talk about the arrangement, the agreement where we done reach and the policy between Cameroon, Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. Another document issued to the delegates of the General Assembly in the United Nations read as follows. This document is issued by Jongu Foncha and Amadou Ahidjo. The Southern Cameroon negotiations have still to take place between the government of the Southern Cameroons and the government of the Republic of Cameroon. A constitution has to be drawn up and finalized. The communique issued by the President Amadou Ahidjo and Mr. Foncha said that the constitution would be a federal and that the federation would not be automatic but gradual. New institutions of government have to be created. So when I hear the government of La République and the government of Southern Cameroon, they be talk say the union it no go be automatic. The union it go be gradual. In other words, the Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon, they be supposed for begin the meet for draw up a constitution where it go be binding on both territories and where it go establish the powers of the federal government and the various state institutions for the various states. For the meantime, the two countries be supposed for to live apart, side by side. They be need even visa for cross each other their border. Their military be supposed to be separated. It was not supposed to be automatic. After the Foumban conference, the constitution and the federal structure that was forced upon Southern Cameroon was an act of a violation of this agreement. It was an annexation, nothing to do with the will and the consent or the approval of the Southern Cameroon government. Again, I go take una back for the plenary session of 994 for the United Nations. Make una read, una hear which way the President Amadou Ahidjo he talk about the agreement where it already be made and the policy them for the state where it be supposed to be created. For the document for the United Nations titled Agenda Item 13, Report of the Trusteeship Council, Report of the Fourth Committee of the Future of the Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroon. Paragraph 1, 2, 3 read as follows. Operative paragraph 5 of the draft resolution states without further ado that the union of the Southern Cameroon with the Republic of Cameroon shall take the form of a Federal United Cameroon Republic. In that document, to stress, it actually writes, I repeat, a Federal United Cameroon Republic. That was the name of the country that was supposed to be formed as authorized by the United Nations resolution. What was formed was the Federal Republic of Cameroon, which is completely different from what the United Nations have authorized. The document further said, in response to the request of the General Assembly, Paragraph 3, the Trusteeship Council Resolution 2013. They have approached the government of Nigeria and the government of Cameroon to give explanation of their terms in case the territories were to join them. It says the General Assembly thought it necessary that the meaning of these choices be more fully explained to them. That means they be need for know which way they get into. It reads, when we asked the government of the Republic of Cameroon what the arrangement would be in case the Southern Cameroon's people choose the Republic, they sent to us a note verbal, which is found in paragraph 79 of the report, of which, in view of its importance, I must read out. So this one a note for which way the Cameroon government it then talk for the commissioner and for the committee for the shape of the union where it will be. It read as follows. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs presents its compliment to the British Embassy to Cameroon at Yaoundé, and with reference to it, note verbal number FM 68 dated December 1960 has the honor to state that following the conversation which have just taken place at Douala between the President of the Republic of Cameroon and Mr. Foncha, the Prime Minister of the Southern Cameroons, it has been decided that in the plebiscite organized in the Southern Cameroons on the question of whether the country should join the Federal Republic of Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon. Remember that they are calling Cameroon in this case a country, Southern Cameroon a country. The government of the Republic of Cameroon have announced that it adheres to the spirit of the attached joint communique, which indicates its desire for unification with the Cameroons under the British administration on the basis of federalism. Remember the words. This is the Cameroon government calling it unification. What they had in the Foumban conference, they call it reunification, which is a fraud in itself. So when at the year, now the Cameroon government that they call Southern Cameroon a country, and they promise, say they go upheld for document the way they be done already submit them. And this note verbal, it reinforced the same. It read as follows. The government of the Republic of Cameroon requests the British Embassy to consider the attached communique as an expression of the official view of the Republic, and the further request that they be published for the process prescribed by the Trusteeship Council Resolution 2013, referred to it as note verbal. They say I will not need to go into detail into the communique. Remember, the communique is a submission of the plebiscite part, and the note verbal is reinforcing the same, even in different words. It continues as follows. I do not need to go into details. Okay, I think we've gone through that one. It says that they wish to create a federal state whose institution could be broadly outlined as follows. The Federal United Cameroon Republic will be a democratic state. When I hear the name of the country will be supposed to be created, Federal United Republic, Cameroon Republic, not what was created in Foumban. This is the origin of the reference in paragraph 5 of the draft resolution. It was the document which was published for the information of the people of the Southern Cameroon, and it was them that they voted for. Therefore, it does not seem unreasonable to us that they should be, from that point of view, of the welfare of the people of the Southern Cameroon. So, na Cameroon government that did talk, say our people then before them vote for the plebiscite, they be the vote, say they go create na this united, na this Federal United Cameroon Republic. And it will be with the documents and for the policy then where it will be expressed in the communique and the note verbal. This is the agreement that was made between the two states. What happened in Foumban was a creation of something else that violated the arrangement that was made and that our people voted for. This is not what we voted for. This is not what we choose. if Professor Victor Julius Ngoh is indeed a true historian, somebody who wants to tell the truth. He will not be lying. He will not want to ignore our history and choose to start our history from a fraud called the Foumban Conference. The Foumban Conference is not the history of Southern Cameroon. That is not the beginning of our history. That was the beginning of our trouble. It was a fraud meant by undercover agents. It was a fraud. It was a scam. And our children should know the truth. And we should say it at our loudest voice at the top of the mountain. Foumban Conference was never the implementation of the resolution that gave mandate for the unification. It was a fraud, let alone the constitutional amendment of La République du Cameroon. It is all a fraud. It was an annexation, and our situation now is the one of a recolonized people.
Administration, legal, and all what that operated in the Republic of Cameroon before October 1961 will be allowed to operate in East Cameroon. Same with what obtained in West Cameroon will be allowed to operate in West Cameroon, and the two systems will only be blended at the federal level. So that is at the center. That's it, and that is the Anglophone problem. This whole idea.
So the whole issue of calling it an Anglophone problem is a dilution of our statehood and our sovereignty. The two states, the Southern Cameroon, a country, and the French Cameroon, a country, were supposed to unite and form a federal united. That means it clearly states that there are two equal partners in the name of that appellation. Whatever debate we have within the Foumban Conference and the Foumban setup within the Constitution of La République du Cameroon have already killed our nationality, have already absorbed us into a country that already existed. It was a constitution drawn completely by the Republic of Cameroon and imposed upon us. Our parliament did not even have the chance to sit and debate or to adopt it or was even recognized. It was all absorbed. Eventually, it was an annexation and nothing other than annexation. The Foumban Conference as a whole was a fraud, was illegal.
The person who wears the shoes knows where it pinches.
Prof, before we take leave of you, how do you think the challenges or threats to national unity can be overcome?
First of all, we have to recognize that there is a threat to national unity. The situation in the northwest and southwest, the situation in the Grand North, the situation in the East region, all point to the fact.
So when we hear Professor Victor Julius Ngoh, it talk the national unity, now the Cameroon national unity, as it be mixed with the northern part or the various regions for Cameroon. They want to try for link Ambazonia to minimize us and reduce us into an internal affair of cohesion within Cameroon. That is not the nation we come from. That is not part of our nation. That is not part of our identity. We reject it completely. It goes against the law. The law is on our side. Legality is on our side. We will never again buy into this stupidity. We will never accept to tolerate or even to entertain this ridiculous history that is based on imagination. History is based on points of reference. Where is the points of reference of the Foumban Conference? They want our history to start there.
Should be honest enough and put the nation ahead of their personal interests. People come and go. The institutions remain. The country will remain. For us to ensure and safeguard national unity, we must work as Cameroonians. We must be able to face the unpleasant facts and say this is what should be done and this is what we have to do. And Cameroonians should avoid being hypocrites. They should not think that their ultimate goal is to be appointed A or B or whatever. Their ultimate.
So this Cameroonese language where they talk say we are all Cameroonians. It applies to them. We are not part of Cameroon. We are not Cameroonians. We have never been Cameroonians. We are Ambazonians. For over 60 years, there is no reference of our territory in their constitution. The recent draft constitution being circulated by Mr. Pobia to recognize the Southern Cameroons have no points of reference.
That at this 21st century, there are areas in Cameroon without drinking water, without electricity, without health centers. How do you accept that in the 21st century, you still have primary schools, children being taught under trees.
So now the Cameroon that way the Julius Ngoh one make we for Ambazonia will join them. A country people did the open school under tree. It no be that ever happened even in the British time or the Nigerian time for inside the southern Cameroon. We cannot, there is no comparison. We are not going into this mess. We have known our history, we have known the truth, and the truth will set us free, and we will stand on the truth. Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia was annexed and recolonized. There was never anything such as reunification. Even the word and commitment in the United Nations of the Cameroon government is on the record to clearly state that. We raise our case. Capo Daniel, signing off.